Hello again, everybody. This is attorney Mark Brunner. Thank you so much for joining me here today on Talking Texas Law. Well, it's the summertime here, and as always, when the heat of Texas ramps up, a lot of people think about cooling off, and they may head for the water, the lakes, rivers, even the ocean. One thing you got to watch out for, just like it's an offense here in Texas to drink and drive, that would be DWI. Well, in Texas, we have boating while intoxicated, or BWI. Something to consider and watch out for the next time you head out on your watercraft. Let's talk a little bit about BWI and how it tracks very similarly with the offense of driving while intoxicated, or DWI. In Texas, the first offense for BWI is just like for a DWI, is a Class B misdemeanor. Carries a range of punishment of up to 180 days in jail or up to 2 years on probation, a fine of up to $2,000. Your second offense for BWI then goes up to a Class A misdemeanor, where basically the range is double. It's up to a $4,000 fine, up to a year in jail, or still up to that 2 years probation. Any more offenses can take you into the realm of felony court. So BWIs, just like the sister case of DWI, very important not to keep stacking multiple ones throughout your criminal record. Well, let's talk a little bit about what are the issues, what would the state have to prove in a BWI case. Well, for here, if you are operating a watercraft, and that is defined as a boat, a personal watercraft like a jet ski or whatever, or even if it's a yacht, a sailboat, even skis, that can be considered BWI, or boating while intoxicated. It's not necessary that it has to be a motor-propelled vehicle. It's got to be gas-powered or have an engine. Again, even if you are just sailing around with the power of the wind, or rowing a canoe, if you are found to be intoxicated, that could be the offense of BWI. The issue of intoxication legally is defined identically to the DWI statute, which is the same three ways the state can use to prove or try to prove that somebody is intoxicated. So for BWI and DWI, it's the exact same three ways. By showing someone has either lost the use of their mental faculties or physical faculties by the reason of the introduction of what's called a drug, a dangerous drug, or a combination of those substances into their bloodstream. Or, so again, losing your mental faculties, losing your physical faculties, being impaired mentally or physically because of a drug, a dangerous drug, or a combination of those two substances. Or of course, with alcohol. Or by having an alcohol concentration of 0.08 or higher, as shown with a breath test device or a blood test device. So again, either having an alcohol concentration of greater than 0.08, or by losing your mental or your physical faculties. Again, due to drugs, a dangerous drug, a combination of substances, or of alcohol, that can get you the offense of BWI. As law enforcement officers, it's not the same as when they are, they're on land, they pull somebody over on the side of the road, they're able to get the person out, have them do field sobriety tests. So what are some of the testing mechanisms that officers use while they are trying to investigate a case of boating while intoxicated? Well, if they are truly out on the water, law enforcement has developed what they call float tests. These are ways to kind of allow the officers to try to conduct a sobriety testing out in the water when people are frankly sitting down. It's not safe to just stand up in a watercraft. Usually, if it's a small boat, sometimes it's not even physically possible. Yet the officers may need to sit there and try to run tests on someone. So they may run things like the horizontal gaze nystagmus test, where they're having someone try to follow with their eyes, looking for clues of intoxication inside with the tracking of the eyes. There are some other tests that officers may try to do while the person is seated. Now, all these float tests, not talking about the HGN or the eye test, But other ones, when they try to do sitting down, these aren't created by a doctor. They're not created by a scientist. These are sort of just tests, these float tests that the police try to do out there on the waves. Not as much scientific study and rigor as the field sobriety tests where people are subjected to on land. That may be room for interpretation. That may be room for an attack on not the legality, but just the weight or the admissibility of the police's findings. Again, some of these float tests, they're pretty loosey-goosey. Not a lot of scientific rigor behind them, not scientifically studied as much as the highway tests that have been studied, literally for decades now. Now, that being said, the police what they can do, and what they often do, is they suspect someone of BWI, and they are able to do this. They will get that person out to shore, get them on dry land, get them out of the boat, get them out of the watercraft, and do the general field sobriety testing like you would be doing behind the wheel out there on the side of the water on dry land. So having the eye test, the walk and turn test, the one leg stand test, the typical field sobriety testing that you would do on a DWI, they would do that for a BWI suspect if they can get that person quickly and efficiently and safely to dry land. Frankly, that is generally more common because it's a little more rigorous, it's a little more stronger evidence for the police to use in court versus, well, I had the guy out there on the waves. It was a choppy day. I'm trying to figure out if his eyes are wobbling or he's lost his balance or what have you. Side of the road testing, those transportation safety approved, federally approved tests that they would do on the side of the road. They try to bring that into a BWI scenario too sometimes. So now again, those field sobriety testings, that requires cooperation of a defendant. Obviously, a defendant does have the right to not cooperate with those tests and choose not to take them. And then the officers will just go by whatever evidence they have. They may try to get a warrant for for blood. They may ask for a breath test that may be refused or not. But still, there's always the evidence of the officer's own investigation, their own observation, the observation perhaps of witnesses, of other people there on the scene, maybe who have seen some kind of reckless or dangerous behavior out there in the waves that has caused the police to draw attention to that particular boater. So again, something to consider, the offense of BWI, just like its sister of DWI. It pays to know the ins and outs of that and to always be aware and careful about what you consume when you are out there trying to relax on our Texas waterways. Well, this has been Attorney Mark Brunner. As always, this video is being offered for educational and informational purposes only. It's not to be construed as giving specific legal advice, and it does not take the place of a true legal consultation. And unless you are already a contracted client of mine, I'm not your lawyer. Well, thank you so much for joining me. If you like what you see, please consider hitting that subscribe button so you'll get updates as to new videos that we post. Well, thanks again. This has been Attorney Mark Brunner. I'll see y'all next time on Talking Texas Law.